Recording.
Red light's not come on.
Well, it's recording.
Okay, right. Well, this is Project 00. Obviously, because our brief was about Spider-Man, we've taken a lot from the Ultimate Spider-Man, the most recent film, which is what that's from, because you see it all over the film, it's blasted everywhere. There's me, Charlie, Ellie, Luke, and then there's also Jordan, but he's not here right now. So I'll let you go on to the next slide.
This is our synopsis of what's going to happen. Richard Parker, who is the hero in our short film, he's a scientist of Oscorp, and he's been hunted down by a villain who is unknown at the moment. And so the villain is chasing Richard Parker, who runs back to his laboratory to hide his files in Project 00. So while he's doing that, his personal robot assistant is hacked into by the unknown villain. The robot is called Peter, which stands for a Personal Electronic Tech Analyst. He is the villain in this, as he's hacked into by the villain. The robot smashes Richard down and takes the files, and then runs away with them. So he thinks he's got the files. However, Richard had already swapped the files and hidden the real ones in the safe in his laboratory. This is our character turnaround of Peter. We want to go for mainly matte colours on his armour, and then we've got a rendered version of him there. We thought about having the sensor, originally it's blue, and then when he's hacked into it turns red, and we also thought in like the scene we could have it so that the camera is behind the lens and it turns red and says hacked into or something across the screen.
This is our environment sketch. Try to do it in a perspective view so you can kind of see the size of it. We've also got the 6x3 in the middle with models around the edge so that it looks bigger. This is the pod where the robot's going to start off in. Once it gets hacked into, it's going to break out. This is the safe, obviously, where Richard is going to put the 00 files into. The robot can't get into it. But we've also modelled some props, which we'll show later, already rendered out. We were going to have another room as well with glass so that the environment looks bigger, but that would sort of be on this wall, which you can't see. But it's just going to be a glass wall with another room modelled on the other side of it.
Just to show more space, so it's not just a singular room. Okay, so this is the storyboard. So Richard runs in with his papers in hand, and the door's slammed, and there's knocking on it. So he's sort of fathoming around with the papers, and then he gets hacked, Peter. So he's looking in the the camera. You see it comes over and says override 100%, and you can see Richard behind it. And then as Richard's sort of looking down with the papers, the audience can see over his shoulder. Obviously for easy effect we've done it this way. And Peter moves his head round to show that it's starting. And then as he puts his stuff into his safe, Peter starts moving around. And then he gets out as the stasis chamber comes down and he walks out. So then Richard stops backing up, and Peter's chasing after him. And then
the fight scene comes in. Richard's backing away from the table, backing onto the table, sorry, and he's looking for something like a weapon or something, and he goes into his pocket and finds a banana. Then he finds the banana, obviously. And then he throws it at Peter, and we put the banana in there for some comedy effect. And then the banana obviously just doesn't affect Peter, it bounces on off of his chest and onto the floor. And Peter backhands Richard, and Richard then falls to the floor. And Richard, obviously on the floor, is looking for another weapon. And he sees a broomstick, picks the broomstick up. And then he whacks Peter on the back, and Peter and gets off balance, and then he turns around and then he defends a punch off of Richard.
Smashes him in the chest.
And then Peter hits Richard in the chest because it's sort of blocked, and then he punches him in the chest.
And then Richard falls back onto the desk. And then Peter finds some files on the table which he thinks is the Project 00 files. But then he walks off, and then you can hear a laugh. That's going to be the villain overriding the voice command. And then you're going to turn back to Richard, who's going to have a smug face because he knows the files are in the safe. And he knows Peter's got the wrong files. And then you're going to cut to the safe where you can see the files in there. And then that's it.
So this is our schedule, so that'll be the end of the sequence. So this is our schedule, obviously it started last week. We've been mainly focusing on getting everything done, like the storyboard and the treatment. The treatment is on a computer, so Matt's got the script and everything, so there's only a short voice sequence which is important. So treatment choreography are done, so we don't say and then they fight, which is obviously a massively important thing. And then, so this week, because we're a bit ahead of the curve, because we've already created our character, we can focus more on the environment and getting that top notch, which is obviously important because that's what's going to be seen a lot of. And then we've got to texture that, and we're going to have we've got to rig Peter, because he's obviously the person who's going to be mocapped. And then mocap the week after, and then all these are sort of to the keys. That's our last chances to do it and hand in nothing. Yeah, okay. So rendered objects.
Yeah, these are some objects that we've already done, obviously. And just other things like the weapon that Richard's going to be using against Peter, make it so that it snaps in half after you hit him with it. Just like loads of beakers around the room, just like little details so that the environment looks more like realistic. So also something with Spider-Man, the newspaper that they have in it. So like little things from Spider-Man so that you can obviously tell what it's from.
Yeah, because Spider-Man's obviously not going to be in it. So.
Yeah. And obviously just more props to use around. Bunsen burners just going to be on the tables and etc. That's it. Do you have any questions?
Joshua?
At the bit where he like the robot's like advancing on him, and then he turns around and gets the broom.
Yeah.
But then you said he hits the robot in the back. But surely the robot's still facing him because it's walking
No,
towards
because he's fallen on the floor.
the backwards.
No, what? Richard's fallen on the floor because he's been hit to the floor with
Yeah.
the backhand. So as the robot's turned around to pick up the papers, so he's
Oh,
sort of looking through.
okay.
So as he's turned around, he can, you know.
Okay.
Any more questions?
No. Okay. Yeah, good schedule, like that, and the fact that you've worked into your scheduling a thought process about any problems you may occur. So you're building into the schedule sheet like a potential disaster area. You know, if these things happen, we've got some time to think about it and work it out. That is really, really professional and very good to see that. The actual environment, although it's like a quick sketch, I think you could work it up a bit more, but you don't need to if you know. But looking at the previous presentation, it doesn't really demonstrate to us that you've given a thought about the actual floor plan and where things are going to be within the space of the virtual capture. So you know that I think you need to maybe.
Well, we do know where everything's going to be
Concentrate
because we haven't rendered it out because it's half finished. So what was the point? But we've got the same sort of idea. We've got a floor which is pink, which is showing the capture area,
Yeah.
and then we've got props around it. So as Ellie said, it makes it look bigger
Yeah.
rather than just a.
Okay, that's fine. As long as we can see it before you end up in the studio, because you know what I personally want to see is that you've really thought about the space that you're in and the virtual space awareness. Because you know, if you go in, you're going to be dealing with an actor or actress, and you're going to be thinking they have to know where to relate to within that space to carry out all their actions.
When we finish modelling it, we'll draft another detailed plan of where everything's going to be so that we can get it exact.
Okay, you're only just in frame, by the way. Almost the voice from beyond. The other thing, I like the fact you did like a Leica reel of the action sequence. A lot of choreography going to be needed for that, the same as the previous group. So think very carefully about who you choose to do the action sequences. You're going to be overwhelmed with actors and actresses. They're all going to want to go at this. So what I'm thinking of suggesting is that each group takes a selection of people and then put them all through quick sequences and see which one come out the best, you know. So then you get an option. That might not be a reality because of timing limitations. That's the thing, because you're all going to have a short time in there. But let's just plan for that and then see if we can work through it, okay? And the other thing I didn't mention to the other group as well, which is it's open to you all, is because this is a real life project, you're dealing with different people who are not in your group. You're going to be dealing with their personalities, their mood swings and mood sets. And if you get, I don't know, 4 actors and you say, right, yeah, we'll choose you, you brief them all, you tell them all that they're going to have a go at the motion capture suit, and you run out of time, some are going to be disappointed, so you're going to have to deal with that issue, okay?
Well, that's the whole point of the schedule, so that because we know what's going to happen, we can just go, well, we can't be dealing with you, so we're going to have you two, and that's it.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, but just plan it. Use that time effectively that you've given the problem solving. Okay, and finally, the other thing I was thinking of is, I couldn't really get to grips of what in your props that you're going to have marked up in that area in the floor plan. What out of all the props, which ones are being used or going to be used within the actual fight sequence? I know the broom is going to be
and
here.
the banana.
Broom's the only
And a
one.
banana.
That's it, yeah.
But are these characters going to act? Are they going to fall against tables or?
Yeah, we're going to have tables in the motion capture room.
And so then you're going to have.
No, most of these are going to be on like
On the bits that you're not going to be able to touch,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Right, so they'll be out of
outside,
catchment
yeah,
area.
yeah.
Because I suddenly thought, ooh, Bunsen burner. Right, you're going to make a prop up with that, and you're going to marker it, and you're going to label it, and.
No, it's not like actually being,
So it's
Okay.
going to be background props and all.
Okay, that's cool.
just to make it more realistic, because the lab is.
That's fine. That's fine. You answered my question there. That's me done.
All I'd say is it would have been nice to have seen the room modelled really, and that maybe a few photographs with, you know, you can easily do kind of Photoshop type stuff with the actual space you're working
Ah.
with. Do you know what I mean? That was it really.
But
It's
obviously,
kind of like.
schedule is.
I say it's fine. I mean, I got an idea of the sequence, and I think doing an animatic type storyboard is useful, because you can see each.
Yeah.
It's like when you've got quite a lot, you're trying to figure out the sequence. A bit like a comic book, but with a comic book you like to flip through and kind of spend a bit of time over it. But with that, you're kind of seeing what's happening. But yeah, it would have been nice to see maybe the integration of space. But that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Overall, good. Like it. Well done. Bash the camera. Why don't you?